Have you ever had an accident?
Yeah, quite a few.
Tell us, what happened?
Our first big one was actually my parents and their friends had come to watch me in Silverstone. And in a really high-speed corner, I touched another car. And because of that touch, I kind of flipped right in front of their grandstand.
Ooh.
Yeah, I barrel rolled and landed.
Sorry.
I landed upside down on the tire wall.
You gave them a show they'll never forget.
Yeah.
If you don't win, flip.
And because I was hanging upside down, I was kind of like, I didn't know where I was. So I undid my belts and I went through the tires.
So what is Sachin like? Apparently he's very into car racing. Not racing, but car driving for sure.
It was good because some of the
Very
other guys were
competitive man,
scared.
from what I've gathered. Huh.
And when he was in the car, he was telling me to just go for it from the beginning.
Are you kidding?
Yeah.
Like,
And he enjoyed it.
He wanted to see how fast he could go and all that.
Yeah.
Well, even I would have done that. How fast did you go?
The track's tiny, but I did like 280 in that.
What was his reaction?
He was cool because he trusted that.
But didn't get worried at any moment.
Not that I saw. I had to still look at the road, so I couldn't look at him and drive it.
Cyrus Says is the podcast, and I've got one of the stars of India, Jehan Daruvala, soon to get the Bharat Ratna. You've not got it yet, no? But he'll get it soon. He's our most prominent star on the horizon of motor racing, which of course I don't know too much about. Although thanks to the coastal road, I'm driving faster, which is a good point.
I actually just came from town and I was surprised how quickly I got here.
Fantastic, no? Yeah, unbelievable. I got here 25 minutes early today. It was very embarrassing, in fact. Maharashtra government, we are not ready for all this. Please go back to your normal mediocrity. It's very painful for me. Jehan and I have spoken before in about 2 or 3 years of passing, 21, 22. And we discussed his life. So he's told me strictly, you ask me any other same question again, I'll kick you in your face twice. Uncle Benchot. That's your exact words. I'm quoting you.
Okay, no problem.
Okay. Dadar boy, no?
Yeah.
So I
Parsi
remember.
colony.
Parsi colony. Hardcore, 100% straight out. So before we start, let him tell us, because I know very little about motor racing, although we follow him. Good Parsi boy, doing really well. His name is always there in the papers. But between 21, 22 and now, he's already established himself. I've written it down here. On 27 September 2023, Daruvala, Jehan, that is, signed a contract with Maserati MSG Racing for the 2020-24 Formula E season. Okay, so just tell us what that means exactly and how close are you to Formula 1?
Oh, yeah. So I was in Formula 2 for a few years before. I think that's when we last spoke.
Correct.
Trying to go to Formula 1. The seats, as you know, in Formula 1, it's not that easy to get in just on pure results. You have to be there at the right place, right time, right sponsors and everything.
And there are only so many slots, right?
Yeah, there's only 1 or 2 that open every couple of years.
Unless, of course, you kidnap a famous driver.
Yeah.
So, which is one way to go at some point. You can ignore me and carry on.
Yeah, I think I'll do that.
You must have some irritating uncle in the other Parsi colony and say, hey, Jehan, yeah, dikra.
And then, so when I finished my last F2 season, from a racing driver's perspective, like Formula E for me was the next, best, and driving for Maserati.
So just explain to us again. Keep in mind, a lot of people don't know the structure because it's a very complicated sport. We only see the glamour part. So you've done Formula F2, and then from there you go to E.
So basically, all until Formula 2, all drivers need to either bring sponsors or bring backing with them.
Oh.
And then when you go to Formula 1 or Formula E or Le Mans,
It sounds like podcasting only. You
India
have to find your own
racing.
money and all that.
Yeah, so you need to find. So I was sponsored by Red Bull for 3 years when I was in Formula 2. But no seats opened up in Formula 1 in those years. So the next best thing, and for me, was to make myself a professional racing driver. And Formula E was.
Okay, go slow, Jehan. So what does that mean? Because I thought you are a professional.
I
racing
mean,
driver.
we are professional in a way that we are
Huh.
good enough to all be professional. But like I said, we bring sponsors. So we're not getting paid in Formula 2.
Okay.
We bring sponsors to drive. So everyone is, in theory, a paid driver.
So you have to get your own sponsor who pays you.
In Formula 2, no. You have to just get your own sponsor to drive, to hope to do well, to go to Formula 1, to
Who,
get
the
paid.
money goes to who? The company, the car company.
The teams you're driving for. Yeah.
Man, this sounds like government work again. I pay my tax and I don't know what's happening. The bridges are not broken, continues to be broken. Abhi sir, you remember that, no? The Gokhale Bridge, have you fixed it? No, not done yet. But that's it. So it's a really tough sport in that sense.
Yeah, it's really tough, but...
How do you land the sponsors? You have to do well. But how do you do well without the sponsor? How do you get this thing?
Yeah, so that's honestly really difficult. I was very lucky that my parents supported me when I was young, karting. Then I went to UK when I was 13 to a boarding school. And at that time, Then when I was 14, I was part of the Force India Driver Academy. So I've been kind of lucky to be part of driver academies along the way through my career. And yeah, without either backing or sponsorship, it's really impossible to go all the way.
Okay, so then you managed somehow or the other. You got the sponsorship. You did well. You got good results, and then you go to E. What happens in the E circuit?
In Formula E, you're basically a professional driver, so you get paid to drive.
Who's paying you?
The team you're driving for.
Okay, so now you're getting like a proper fee.
So I was driving for Maserati this year. So they pay you to drive. And now I'm looking for a contract for next year, and they would pay you to drive as well. So when you're on Formula E, you become a professional driver.
I remember when I was young, some uncle had a Maserati. It was a very famous, I mean, very rare to see car and all that. But how much would they cost, honestly?
I mean, it just depends what.
Your souped up one would be how much?
They gave me like a grey Carlier last year to drive on the road. I mean, they are like probably around 2 CR or something.
2 CR. Woo! Why do you do bodybuilding here? You just need to buy creatine. It's about 500 rupees. It's ridiculous, man. 2 crore car. And he's still on his way to Formula 1, which, touch wood, he will reach at some point. So it's a sport which is very demanding financially, clearly. Yeah. And the pressure, of course, of the big name like Maserati or whatever you have after that as well. So now, what are you doing in terms of racing at the moment as we speak?
So typically a Formula E season is only January to July.
Okay.
So kind of suits me in a way. I like to be home.
So now you get time off.
Yeah, so I have a couple of months off.
But in which do you have to find more sponsors for the next year?
No.
Next season?
In Formula E, you don't have to find. You just have to find a contract. So you need to find a team to drive for.
Okay.
And for them to pay you.
So now you're off we are shooting this, recording this in September, and you're off till about November, is it?
Honestly, I don't know yet. I don't have a signed deal for next year. So currently...
That is why we brought you, Jehan, on this damn podcast, because we want that signed deal, and we reach millions and millions of people in China, especially, where the money is. So you'll get a souped-up Chinese car.
Yeah, so next year, the goal for this year now is my manager is looking for a deal for me for next year. And as soon as that's signed, I'll pretty much fly out to Europe.
This manager of yours is sitting here just yawning and stretching. I don't see him running around. Dikra, so courage, go downstairs and get the sponsor fast. Kid's running out of time. I want him in Formula 1 ASAP now. It's been, how many years have we been in this business now? We started so young, 16, 17?
Started when I was 10.
10. So clearly underage, because Maharashtra government says you have to be 18 when you get a license. I just want to put on the record there.
Yeah, I started go-karting when I was 10. I moved into...
Do you need a license for go-karting? No.
Yeah.
You do?
Yeah.
Jeez. Wow.
But a special karting license. You can't use that on the road. So
well, you shouldn't.
Yeah.
But you could during election rallies and stuff like that, because you run out of vehicles. Fair enough. Okay. So you've been, from 10 till now, you've been in the business, and now we are just one step away. Just correct me if I'm wrong. You're talking to a completely, mentally off-balance person.
I mean...
We're at E.
Yeah.
We're looking at the next contract, and then we are... I don't want to, panvati or do anything, but what's the how do we go forward from here to F1?
I mean, honestly, Formula E, apart from, like, Formula 1, everyone knows is the pinnacle of motor racing, let's say, but it's practically impossible once you pass your time to try to go back there. So my goal currently will be to stay in Formula E for the next few years. The level is super high. We have a lot of top teams, manufacturers. Like, I'm driving for Maserati, but there's Porsche, Nissan, McLaren. All of them are there in Formula E as well. So the level of competition is really high. So just to be in Formula E itself is a big achievement for me.
All right. So you're staying the course now for some time. I don't want to, again, make you predict anything and all that. But after a few years, let's say, then the jump happens. We're one step away from F1. Am I right?
In this day and age, I'm already considered too old for Formula 1. If you don't break in by your low 20s, then it's really difficult to get in.
But guys like Vettel and Hamilton and all that, were in their early 20s when they started?
Yeah.
Really?
Like 21.
Okay. Yeah. Well, so what's the deal with the age thing? What's the reflexes? What?
Not really. I think it's just, there's only 22 guys in Formula 1 and only 1 or 2 seats open every couple of years. So if you don't get in those 2 years, there's always someone else doing well in Formula 2 who then takes those seats. So you have to be at the right place at the right time, have the best possible season, have good sponsors and everything to kind of break into Formula 1.
Wow, it's a very complicated sport. It's not easy. It's also a little heartbreaking because there's so many rules involved. Like if you're just 100 meters runner, I suppose you just run and you break the record or whatever, win the gold medal, whatever, and then you go to the next meet, which is above that in the league or whatever. But here, you've got to wait for a match to work out. People demand supply to happen, and for you to get a chance, right place, right time. If I'm getting it right.
Yeah, it is really difficult. Also, as you're going through the categories, in a way you're driving a machine. So if the car is not good enough at the end, you can't perform at a really high level. So at times it is frustrating. Like you said, when you're running, you're just controlling everything by yourself.
Do you get irritated when normal people are driving because you can drive at another level?
Not really. I drive myself 99% of the time when I'm in Bombay anyways. So I'm quite okay with
All right.
relaxing when I'm in the car.
So now tell us what life is like on the E-circuit. We spoke about F2. What is it like on the E-circuit? Where are you? How do you prepare? Give us a little insight into the preparations and the lifestyle.
Yeah, so as you go higher up to the ladders, you actually get limited time of driving. Apart from race weekends, you only have. So I only had 3 days of testing actually before my first ever race in Formula E. So the ideal way to prepare for us is on the simulator. So my team was based in Monaco. So before every race weekend, I was spending 2 or 3 days there. You do, I don't know, 150, 200 laps. You go
How
through.
long? How much is a lap? How long? And
It takes maybe 1.5 minutes or so. So
at what pace? Average pace?
I mean, it depends. So next year, Formula E cars are gonna be the world's fastest cars from 0 to 100. It's gonna do 1.8 seconds. And
My wife does 1.6 seconds in the Kia. It's embarrassing, yeah. I throw up all the time. This is horrible because they don't hit the brake. I don't make it no male female thing, but yeah. I'm going to ask you that question. I'm going to come to that question
I'll
too
avoid
about
it.
females. Huh?
And yeah, so in theory, the top speed can go over 300 in Formula E cars as well.
Wow.
So they're pretty quick. They have a lot of acceleration. So I think the future is going more and more towards electric cars.
Wow. So you're based in Monaco. Monaco, well, you're there. Monaco is a biscuit, right?
Oh, it's kind of a mix. So yeah, when I'm racing in the season, I'm between London, Monaco, Europe, like all around.
Wow.
But I have a flat in London where I'm staying in
Such a
season.
struggler. Ghar hai London mein? One in Monaco. I'm struggling to pronounce it. It's that famous. My God. So you live alone in all these places, or there's like a girlfriend everywhere?
I was living alone.
Huh.
But my girlfriend, now to be fiance, has moved in with me.
Oh, well played. Looks like one manual gear is gone forever, as far as I'm concerned. This kid is, he's in the right form of his life. So this entire preparation, you're running around Europe, whatever. How many hours a day are you actually driving when you practice?
So when we had testing, we have quite some time. So we
Testing
start
means you're testing the vehicle?
the vehicle.
Okay.
And those are only allowed like 3 or 4 days in the entire year. And they don't allow you to cut costs and to stop people just going when they want to test. Because some manufacturers with bigger budgets would basically test every day and then it's an advantage. So they just limit the time, which is not a lot. And those days they kind of start really early at 6 or 7 a.m. and they go on till 6 or 7 p.m.
Wow.
And you're pretty much driving all day.
It's like the old days driving in Mumbai traffic.
Yeah.
12 hours is just normal, par for the course.
And then typically on race weekends, there's like a couple of 30-minute practices only, and then you go straight into qualifying. So there's not much time driving, so you have to adapt really quickly.
I'm going to ask you a question. I don't want you to slap me with your shoe because I came close to sitting in it. They had one when Vijay Mallya had launched that thing. We were in Bangalore and they said, if you're under a certain height and weight, but I couldn't get in. I was a little heavier than I am now. And I couldn't get into the thing. So what's inside those racing cars? It's not a normal gear, is it?
No, actually, so Formula 2 cars, we had paddle shifts. We had a clutch on the hand.
So it's like a bike.
Well, you only use the clutch for to start.
Okay.
And then it's all paddle shifts. So
But you're shifting gears.
shifting gear in
It's
Formula 2. In
with
Formula
your
E,
hands.
it's all seamless drive. No gears, nothing.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, even I can do that then. You have to just start it and drive.
Yeah. Start and drive.
Boss, मेरे को एक मौका देना. I need to. I'm a very fast driver. Your friends will be saying this to you, no? Sometimes.
Sometimes, yeah, but I'm not that
Do they
fast.
challenge you to races and all that? I can imagine.
When we were 18, yes, but those days are gone.
Have you ever said, okay, chalo,
Never.
if you take a normal car, how good is Jehan? In our cars, I don't know, Jeep or Kia or whatever.
I mean, I've never really raced anyone or taken normal cars on a track. But if I had to go on a track in a normal car, I think I would be
No, I don't
pretty
want to race you on a track. Because track, you're king. I'm saying, can you beat me from here to Alibag?
Yeah.
Bastard. I hate this kid. But that's a whole different thing. That's all about terrain and all that, no? So you're saying that your ability with the car, whether it's manual, auto, whatever, is still better.
Yeah.
Oh, sweet. All right. Okay, lots more questions that we need to ask you. I've got some controversial things that I've come to, but I want to finish one thing. So, personal question, do you live off the earnings? How does a person survive? I mean, you've reached a certain level, so I'm presuming you can live off the earnings or you have to live off a sponsorship?
It just depends. I mean, typically Formula E drivers, they earn pretty well. So if you're in the business long enough, then yeah, you can make a living out of it.
So where does Jehan go from here as we proceed with, you're saying E for now. How long do you think you can carry on?
10, 15 years.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Without going to F1?
Yeah. It's a career in itself.
Oh,
So
that's fantastic.
there's no step above Formula E in
And is there any other Indian guys coming through?
So there's a driver called Kush Maini in Formula 2 right now.
Okay.
He's been there for the last couple of years.
Younger?
Yeah, 1 year younger than me. Yeah. So we've raced each other for,
What happened to Narayan Karthikeyan?
I mean, now
Shelf life, age thing.
he's older now, so I think he stopped racing.
So there's only the two of you right now.
Kush's brother Arjun races as well in DTM. It's like kind of they drive more like road supercars on tracks. It's not single seater cars. I think in single seaters at this level, it's just me and Kush for now.
Why aren't more Indians coming through with the kind of, the fact that we have, it's becoming one more high profile, this sport. People watch Formula One. I know it's a niche sport, but it's watched by quite a few Indians on weekends, etc. So why aren't we coming through? Why are there no more Jehans coming through?
I think there's a mix of a lot of things. Firstly, in India itself, the competition, the level isn't at the level it should be. Maybe there's like, three
Our
or four.
internal Indian competitions.
Yeah, so in India, like, there's 5 guys or 6 guys who are very good. And in Europe, you have 200 guys you're racing who are very good. Like, when I was karting in India, I remember my first ever race, I was 1 second slower than the guy who was first, and I still qualified 5th. In Europe, if you're 1 second off, you're not in the top 200.
So number 5 was 1 second off number 1.
Yeah.
So number 2, 3, 4 were like 0.25, 0.35 like that.
But that's a lot.
Really?
Yeah.
In
So
racing?
in Formula E, for example, it's one of the most competitive championships I've driven. This year, at times, I was 0.15 of a second slower than the first guy, and I qualified 20th.
Wow. You should do this in politics.
So yeah, the gaps when you go to Europe, in a way, the thing is, what my parents really supported me, which is not easy, is like kind of focus wholly on racing and study, and not the other way around. So I wasn't like prioritizing my studying, I was prioritizing my racing and my career, and also studying at the same time from when I was 12
What
or
he's saying is
13.
he wasn't sitting in the car driving with the book in his lap and reading at the same time. That's wrong. But you've managed to straddle both. You did well in studies as well, is it?
Well enough.
Well enough. But you don't, I mean, let's face it, this is what you do. It doesn't really matter whether you know the Battle of Panipat or not. But coming back to I'm a little worried why India is not producing, because Jehan, your name has been around for the last 5-10 years, and there are no new names coming in. I'm sorry, I don't know about Kush, but I'm sure he's doing well. But why aren't we able to produce these? Because it seems to be a market is there. We have a couple of role models. We spoke of Narayan before that also. Yet they're not coming. We're not able to get more people coming through in India. Forget pitching into, getting into E, etc., etc. That's a long way off. I'm just saying in India, do we have enough talent in the talent pool?
I think we have enough talent. Also, from what I see, things are moving in the right direction. Karun and Naren just launched a new track right now in India, which is the first FIA spec karting track in India. So that means
That's the stepping stone.
yeah, it's a huge stepping stone.
When I was
would
young,
say.
Chennai was big with all this. I'm talking about the 90s. I think Arman, we had done one show, reality show also was from there. That was the center of motor racing and go-kart racing and everything.
So South India, I would say, is still
Still number 1?
number 1. So this track that they've launched, it's called like it's in FIA they grade the
North
tracks.
India is doing the same thing but outside the track. That's the problem. Guys, come on, yeah. Huh.
So yeah, I think there are a lot of talented people and young kids in India. But at one point, like in Europe, they dedicate their whole life to racing. So you have to kind of make that switch if you want. You need the support from your parents, which I was lucky to have. And unfortunately, right now, where racing is in India, if you want to progress, you have to move outside India. So you can't just compete in India at the level in India and expect to win abroad. So you kind of have to give up your whole life in India and
There's no
move.
question of government support, because obviously you could invest money into this motor racer, send him somewhere in Europe, etc.
Yeah,
So
so
that's
it's-
never going to happen from the
no.
government. You have to find private, personal, family funds.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's what's stopping them. I've solved the problem.
Yeah.
We need more governmental push, public sectors to help as well. This is what I feel.
I think everyone knows by now that racing is a really expensive sport. So you need the talent, you need the backing, and it starts from a young age. From karting itself is pretty expensive in
And there's
Europe.
another reason why Mumbai is not producing champions after you. We have no parking. If there's no parking, how are you going to take the car out? Okay, tough question. So Sebastian Vettel, the 4 times world champion, well, who I remember because I was at Noida in 2011, 12, when
Yeah.
was it? When we had that,
Around that,
thing. And Mayawati ji, esteemed Chief Minister of UP, gave away the prize to him, Sebastian Vettel. I think he won it that year.
You won the world championship.
Yeah. If I can't remember the year, but you were too young, no?
I was there at those races, watching.
Really?
Yeah.
Man, the sound.
Yeah.
We had no idea. They said, put this thing on, and I said, who's going to put this thing on? And then it was worse than aeroplanes taking off, man.
Those days are gone now,
But it was horrible. The
Yeah.
sound was... So you don't have that sound anymore, is it?
I mean, F1 cars have moved also a lot towards hybrid, so it's, I would say now it's like
Little
a
less.
good amount of sound. So you don't need headphones and it's still loud enough.
Worse than Diwali in the 80s. It was just unbearable. The sound was just, oh my God. So here's the question. He's a big champion of human rights, and he talks about, and please answer this question, LGBTQ rights, etc. And women in racing. Why is there no women in racing or very little women in racing?
I think there's a combination of a lot of factors. I think firstly, it's if you see percentage-wise, even in younger formulas, you have like, out of 100 drivers, there's maybe one girl. Even coming up like through the ranks from all the way from karting till Formula 2, you only see like one or two women competing in it. So it's a percentage game as well.
That's
at
very
the end
odd
of the
because
day.
in Mumbai I see girls driving faster than me all the time, and they always seem irritated, which I think is a good thing when you're a sports person to be intense like that.
And I think as you go up through the ladder, like Formula 2, Formula 3, they're quite physical. In the end, in Formula 1, yes, it's physical, but they have power steering that helps quite a lot. While in Formula 2, there's no power steering. So at times, even when I was in Formula 2, you're physically limited by how much you can turn the steering wheel.
But why don't you do what we have in other sports? Why aren't there a separate female category? And maybe the machines can be developed slightly differently.
They do have a F1 Academy now, which is all girls. But some of them, it's a mix of both. Some of them want to compete with the boys, some of them don't.
Yeah, I'm getting a very chauvinistic feel here that the men who run motor racing don't trust women drivers. And I feel that we have to take a stand. Now, you don't want to take a stand with that. That was a political issue with, police bashing of African-American people, etc. But this is the stand you should take, I feel.
No, definitely. I don't think there's anything against women. In fact, like the FIA and everyone is pushing to get
It'll increase
women
the
into
market.
motorsport.
More people will
Yeah.
watch, no? It's very male dominated. I was just thinking, if you look at the longevity of the sport and all that going forward, why not be a little more inclusive?
It definitely is male dominated. But at the end, I think if there's a female coming up who's has a proven track record, there's no reason why she wouldn't be in
Have you
Formula
ever
1.
been beaten by a female driver?
Yeah.
Yeah? When?
I mean, I've raced female drivers along the way, so there are races where,
Really?
yeah.
So then the standard isn't that off.
No, they are good.
Yeah.
They're good.
Wow. Very interesting. Who's the fastest female driver in India? So male driver, you tell me in 1 second. Female driver,
So when I was growing up and racing in India, there was a girl called Meera. So I think, from India, she was one of the better female drivers I've seen.
but there's so few that you're struggling to remember.
Yeah, she was pretty much, I think she was the only
Only
one when I was growing up racing.
I think we have the rally culture, which is strong, where a lot of female drivers are
Yeah.
there. The mountain rallies and all off the beaten track, those country road thingies.
I mean, even through my journey of racing for the last 14 years, I think I've only raced like 4 females through my whole career. So That's what I'm saying. In terms of percentage, the more girls that come into it from the beginning, the
Aisha,
better
it's
it
a
would be.
challenge to you. That's my wife. If you're watching this, which I know you never will because you hate everything I do, Jehan is waiting to see who's the fastest person alive. And please stay alive at the end of it. All right, we'll take a quick break. We'll come back. Lots more to talk about on the racing world. He's teaching us things because, as you know, I'm like an idiot asking him questions. He's been very patient so far. But I think that's part of the whole thing about the entire motor circuit is that people have to understand how it works. A lot of us just like the fact that we sit and watch the thing with our friends, have a couple of beers, and watch the thing going fast, and adrenaline gets out of control, and you think you're driving the car, etc. But the whole process is it's very scientific. There's so much tech involved, and so much practice involved, which we have no idea about. Which hopefully you'll help open our eyes to after we take a break.
Yeah.
Hey, it's been another great week on the IVM Podcast Network. On Cyrus Says, Cyrus sits down with Deven Bhojani to dive into behind-the-scenes story of his legendary roles from his debut in Malgudi days to Babahu or Baby. On A Century of Stories India, Kunal recounts and reveals the daring and covert escape of the 14th Dalai Lama from Lhasa to India, fearing for his life every step of the way. On Paisa Vaisa, Anupam Gupta is joined by Ajit Menon of PGIM, and they discuss all about the retirement readiness survey and why it's important to have a passive income. Folks, if you like our shows, spread the word, tell your friends, and don't forget to rate and review them wherever you're listening to them. Follow us on social media via IVM Podcast on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. You'll also find all our shows on YouTube by their show name, so do look out for them and have fun watching. And finally, we would like to thank our sponsors this week: IDFC First Bank, Axis Mutual Fund, and SBI Mutual Fund.
All right, here with Jehan Daruvala. For those who don't know, Daruvala means alcohol person, which means we should ask him the question. If the name is Daruvala, do you drink?
Occasionally. Well, I don't like alcohol, to be honest, but I like to have
You
a good
don't
time.
like your own self? Name is Daruvala. What kind of life is this? All right, I've got some technical questions here. Once again, my producer is a crazy fan of motor cars and motor racing. Maybe I can't even understand this question, so bear with us. How do you use data and telemetry post-race to analyze your performance and improve? Are there any metrics you particularly focus on? And please explain this question.
Yeah, so it's pretty complicated. In the end, the data is purely what you're doing compared to your teammate. That's the only data that you can compare. There's like every single point on the racetrack is covered. So they know exactly when you're going on the throttle, exactly when you're braking, exactly what driving line you're doing, what speed you're carrying. So all of this stuff you compare to your teammates. So if you're better than me in one place, I have to study that telemetry and see where I can improve going into the next session.
Every time you race, you have to study this.
Yeah.
So it's like homework every time.
It comes to you quite naturally. It's tough to even read telemetry until you're actually in racing.
Telemetry means,
It's data.
in the words of Marathi poet Kavaskar,
It's like
telemetry
squiggly lines
manje.
squiggly lines basically
Okay.
of speed, brake trace, brake pressure, everything that if you don't understand it, you won't be able to.
It's like how
read it.
musicians read a manuscript.
Yeah,
For you, it
exactly.
makes sense. For us, we're wondering what the hell it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. But every time you have to analyze. So this analysis is part of the thing. And then how do you correct it?
I mean,
Give us an example, if you don't mind, of what the things are we're looking at.
Let's say I'm racing in like Monza or somewhere, and I'm pretty fast in the first like half of the track, but the second half my engineer and me will go through the telemetry and be like, oh, your teammate is faster than you here because he brakes 5 meters later than you with 10 bars more pressure, and then
What does 10 bars more pressure mean?
you can say 10%. Basically we
Of pressing.
of pressing,
Huh.
yeah. Because in
Damao.
some corners in a Formula 2 car, you basically smash the brake pedal as hard as you want, and
Oh.
you still don't lock the brakes. So you're physically limited to how hard you can hit the brake.
If I smash the brake, it still doesn't lock.
No, if you have full downforce, you won't lock.
So then how do you lock?
You lock as the downforce gets less. So
Oh, it's a gradual lock.
yeah, so typically in a Formula car, the way downforce works is when there's high downforce and you come at like 330 kilometers an hour. When you hit the brakes, you won't lock. And as you slow down, you have to start releasing the pressure and turn. So it's a complicated procedure. And that kind of telemetry is what we learn from our teammates. Because even though it's you come from such high speed. The whole braking zone is 100 meters.
So tell me in seconds then, you're at 330
Yeah.
and then you're braking. How many seconds will pass before you come back to...
A corner.
So yeah, stop.
You brake like 100 meters before corner only.
100 meters
Yeah.
of actual braking, and that time will be 2 seconds, 3 seconds.
No, even
5
less.
seconds. Less?
Yeah.
Wow.
Maybe 1.5, 2 seconds. Yeah. At max.
Excellent. Telemetry solved. Lesson for the day given to everybody. You've understood something new. My God. Thank God I never got into this. It's got to be like almost like a scientific sort of mind. Science is part of it, right? You can't just be... I know you were a skilled kid. You're obviously like a prodigy. There's no doubt about that. But at some point you also have to get into this whole data analysis thing, which needs a little bit of mind altering sometimes.
Yeah, you can't just drive a car without understanding the physics of a car. In the end, a Formula E car, a Formula 1 car, Formula 2 car, they're all different. You have to purely understand how to extract the most from a car, and that comes more from understanding the physics of it. So when I was a Red Bull junior, we used to take actual factory visits just to understand like purely what they do this, why they fit the duct here and there, and why it's going to help us.
So while I was masturbating to Penthouse magazine at the age of 14, this young kid was taking factory visits to understand why the duct opened or shut or whatever the hell he's talking about. Our lives are different. It's amazing. Yeah. But so you probably wouldn't know that you know all this, right? Because you were already in the business from the age of 10. So the science part was just part of the whole deal. The culture came to you.
Yeah, so you start learning like how to... So basically when I raced in India and initially in Asia, I never had any data or telemetry. It was too expensive basically to put it on the go-kart. So the first time I ever saw it was when I moved to UK and started driving there. So it was very new to me as well. So it took me like a couple of months to understand the whole thing properly. And then it's basically the driver's best friend. There's no excuse for anything. You cannot say, "Oh, his engine is better than mine," and blah blah, because you see it on the telemetry.
Yeah.
If someone has a better engine, you can see it straight away.
And then it gets rectified with the engineers.
Yeah.
So you have to make sure they do it. Is that how it works?
Yes, because typically as a driver, you're never happy with the engine you have, so you always ask for more power.
Fair. But I'm just thinking, you have the physical part of it, when you're trying to say brake or whatever, you only so much time to do it. You said less than 1.5 seconds. How does one improve? Because there's no way your mind can stop and think about anything. That's almost like a natural situation where you would have just so much time, your adrenaline is at full, you're just rushing. You're not able to break down that data in your mind at that point and do the right thing.
I mean, typically, I would say 95% of drivers, they have what we call references for braking, because you come at such high speed, and when you drive on street tracks especially, it's like tunnel vision. So
It's like your internal computer will take over.
Yeah, so you kind of know when the 100-meter board arrives, I should start braking. And if that feels too early on that first lap, then on the second lap, you brake 5 meters after the 100. So your brain is processing this every single lap. And
Can I ask you a horrible question? I mean, I've only asked horrible questions, but have you ever had an accident?
yeah, quite a few.
Tell us, what happens?
My first one was, big one was actually my parents and their friends had come to watch me in Silverstone. And in a really high-speed corner, I touched another car. And because of that touch, I kind of flipped right in front of their grandstand.
Ooh.
Yeah, I barrel rolled and landed.
Sorry.
I landed upside down on the tire wall.
You give them a show they'll never forget.
Yeah.
If you don't win, flip.
And because I was hanging upside down, I was kind of like, I didn't know where I was. So I undid my belts and I went through the tires. And I mean, I've had many accidents along the way. In Formula 2, I've had high-speed accidents as well. But
How cushioned are you?
yeah, so basically, how these cars are designed is the driver area is like a complete safety cell. Everything around it, the bigger the accident looks, the better it is, because it's actually meant to shatter. If the cars don't shatter, the
is that
impact
so?
comes onto the driver. So it acts as like a sponge and it
Get
absorbs
that
all the
people
impact.
with the glass shatters and the things, the worse it looks, the safer it is for you.
I mean, if you go into if you just imagine if you go into a wall at 200, if the thing doesn't shatter or like crumple, you're going to get the impact. So the crumpling of the car and all the big effects is taking all the impact away
Have
from
you
the driver.
gone into a wall? 200?
Yeah.
My God, and nothing happened.
Nothing. The cars are very safe nowadays.
But Ayrton Senna, for example, I mean, you've had those horrible incidents.
I mean, those, yeah, I would say since the last 15 to 20 years, the safety of racing has really improved. Even now we have the halo on the front, so if there's any flying objects, it doesn't hit the driver's head.
What flying objects could be there?
If someone loses a wheel or something, if it
from the other cars.
yeah, or debris or anything.
I'm thinking, Indigo suddenly flying over the racetrack for no reason. Yeah, we got lost from Amritsar. I don't know where I am. Okay. Very interesting. Wet weather racing. Another technical question for you. How do you adjust your driving style for rain? And what's been your most memorable wet race? So, is there a limit of the rain that they allow you to race in? What is the deal?
Yeah, so there's no set limit before the race, but it basically comes to a point where it's too dangerous. Like, because we don't have traction control or anything on these cars, even when you're at 200 kilometers an hour, you start aquaplaning and wheel spinning down the straight.
And when you turn?
So it's actually worse on the straight. If you
Really?
Yeah, because if you can't go flat out down the straight, means it's too much water. You can't control yourself, and because the cars are so low, if the water starts going above the floor, you start aquaplaning, so you completely lose control.
You start aqua what?
It's called aquaplaning. It's basically the wheels actually go off the ground in theory, and you lose complete control. So whatever you do, you're just a passenger.
But they still allow you to race in these conditions.
Normally the drivers start complaining on the radio, the FIA starts hearing it, and then they judge the safety. I mean, it's always best to be first in the wet. If you're outside of the top 5, when I mean you don't see, means you don't see anything in front of you. With the amount of spray in front of the
What
cars.
is the worst conditions you've driven in? And continue driving?
Yeah, so I've driven in conditions where you cannot see.
So you can't see in front of you?
You cannot even see you.
So then how are you driving?
You look to the sides, and then...
Man, that's ridiculous, bro. You're driving at 300 miles per hour and you're telling me you're doing this?
But what happens is, because the spray comes with speed, like I said, is in the dry, if you're braking at 100 meters, in the wet you brake at 150 meters. For the entire straight of a kilometer, you wouldn't see anything. So if someone is stopped in front of you, you're going to go through them.
But your heart must be in your mouth, no? I mean...
Yeah, I had a drive. So when I did my first ever wet race, I couldn't see anything. So I came into the pit and I told my coach, like, it can't be like this. How can you not see and drive? He said, yeah. And I was backing off a little bit on the straight because it was my first time. And he said, don't worry. If you crash into someone at 250 or 300, it's going to be the same thing. So just put your foot down.
What does that mean?
Because if someone stops, you can't control it. So everyone is just keeping their foot down. And then what happens is, when you start braking, the speed automatically reduces. And as the speed reduces, going into the corners, you can again see the corner. And then you go onto the straight again and you can't see anything. So you basically can see the turns halfway through the braking zone. But on the straights, you don't see anything.
Yeah, what are you saying? For a layman, it just sounds ridiculous, man. I'm not able to see the whole rally track. What's the point? I mean, it's like, the visibility is not good enough for driving at that pace.
Yeah, it's very bad. I mean, imagine your wipers stop working on the road. It's pretty much how we are driving.
Oof, scary. And he survives all this and enjoys it.
Yeah.
What happens? How do you get through all these things? I'm getting scared listening to you. Like, if it was my son, I'd be like, no, you can't do this.
Yeah, I think my mom definitely is a bit scared. She's always praying when I'm racing. It just depends on the situation. Like, if it's a bit dangerous, then yes, they are a bit afraid. But I think over the years, my parents have also seen how safe the cars are, the amount of incidents that happen and drivers just walk away from it. So I personally am not scared. If you're scared, then you cannot really be a racer.
Your fight or flight response must have taken over, right? You're in the middle of a competition. You're another level. So I'm presuming at that point you don't get scared. But later when you reflect, you think you got away with that one. The rain was too much.
I've never been scared. I think maybe in this day and age, the drivers, we take a little bit the safety of the cars a bit for granted. 50 years ago, if you were driving and you crashed, there was a possibility you could die. Nowadays, it's not the case. Obviously, racing at such speed, anything can happen. So there's always some sort of risk involved. But we don't think as drivers that we'll hurt ourselves if we go into the wall. So we just basically push as much as we can. And if it happens, it happens.
Parsi power. It's not easy. Everyone don't try it. If you don't have it, don't try it. It's not for everyone. You've got to have that strength, a reckless gene. It's not easy. It's not easy for normal people. Okay, enough of these questions. Now let's talk about some fun things that happen. I don't know whether you're interested in other sports because this eclectic sort of upbringing, this very unique perspective and a very, very, for Indians at least, off-center sport. But you got to meet, let me get this right, You did a lap of the circuit in Pininfarina Battista, an electric sports car during Hyderabad E-Prix 2023 with cricketers Deepak Chahar, Yuzvendra Chahal and Shikhar Dhawan as well as Tendulkar. So what was that experience like? And do you like cricket?
Yeah, I love cricket.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah.
Oh.
So I'm a big cricket fan. I even watched the whole day of Test cricket.
Yeah, right now Bangladesh has taken a couple of wickets also as we speak, and we're stuck in this damn podcast discussing motor racing. I'm kidding.
So it was really cool experience. So last year I was a reserve driver for Mahindra. So
Is that Mahindra and Mahindra? Just one Mahindra?
Mahindra Racing, it's the
Where's the second Mahindra gone? They dropped the Mahindra. Bro, this is national breaking news. There's only one Mahindra.
it's the Mahindra Formula E team.
Damn it.
It's the racing team.
And what about the other Mahindra? Oh.
So as a reserve driver, normal weekends are, let's say, not as fun as when you're the racing driver because you get to drive. When the reserve driver, you basically are just waiting
Hanging
around.
out, yeah.
If someone is sick, you can jump in, but the likelihood is very low. But in the Indian E-Prix, I was a reserve driver for Mahindra, so there was obviously a lot of support for me, and they gave me the opportunity to drive Sachin and the other guys in the Pininfarina Battista. So it was a really cool experience.
So what is Sachin like? Apparently he's very into car racing. Not racing, but car driving for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it was good because some of the
Very
other guys were
competitive man
scared.
from what I've gathered. Huh.
And when he was in the car, he was telling me to just go for it from the beginning.
Are you kidding?
Yeah.
Like,
And he enjoyed it.
He wanted to see how fast he could go and all that.
Yeah.
Oh, even I would have done that. Yeah. How fast did you go?
The track's tiny, but I did like 280 in that.
What was his reaction?
To be fair, he was cool because he trusted that.
But didn't get worried at any moment.
Not that I saw. I had to still look at the road, so I couldn't look at him and drive.
It's not like the rainy day where you're looking left and right to get through the front. Yeah.
And I also thought there's Sachin in the car, so let's try to impress
Is he
him
your
a bit.
fan?
I've met him a few times. Yeah, he is, and I think he likes racing a lot. So he's a motorsport fan altogether.
What were the others? Shikhar Dhawan, who's just retired.
Shikhar Dhawan was there. I don't know if he was in the. I only remember actually Sachin being in the car with me. They were in the Pininfarina Battista, but maybe with different guys.
Okay, so your experience was with Sachin.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Before we go to the AMAs, let me ask you about some of the famous names in F1 that everybody knows about and how you rate them and what you think of them. So let's go through from my generation. Do you remember? I'm sure you study these guys. Nigel Mansell, Nelson Piquet, Alain Prost. How would they compete with the crop today? I know that the cars are totally different, technologies different, but talent is talent.
For me, the top drivers in any generation would be top drivers even to this day. I think the perception of racing in general is different to other sports. Like today in tennis, if Novak Djokovic and Federer and Alcaraz are the best in tennis, a person who's in the juniors,
Sinner who just won the US Open, usko naam bhi
any
nahi
of
yaad.
these guys, someone who's a junior and is playing tennis under 16 is never going to stand a chance against these guys if they are playing, because in the end it's a physical individual sport. But a guy who's winning in Formula 4 in terms of pure talent is as good as the guys in Formula 1.
Seriously?
Yeah. So you put him in a Formula 1 car, he will be as fast as any of them. So
the skill is not better.
you're not any better than the guy in Formula 4
So
who's
you could beat
winning
Lewis Hamilton on a
on
one-on-one.
a given day. Yeah.
Angrezi. No, Angrezi is just a language. Angrez. That's
So I know
racist.
many of my friends who've jumped in, who've had the chance from Formula 2 to go to Formula 1 and have straight away performed very well. And they've not got better
So without being
overnight.
cocky, if you won Formula 1 without being like arrogant about it, there's a chance you could win also.
Yeah.
Right now, as we speak, tomorrow if you're in Formula 1.
If you're on the best car, yeah.
It's amazing. That's fantastic. Who's your favorite driver?
I'm a bit partial because I'm friends with him, so Lando.
Oh, how's he doing?
He's second right now,
Yeah.
so he's doing well.
Yeah. And friends with him as in?
As in, we were teammates in go-karting, we were teammates in Formula 3. We've known each other for quite some time, so yeah, he's still my good friend.
An all-time favorite? Are you a Senna fan?
Senna fan, Kimi Raikkonen fan.
Mm.
I was an Alonso
Schumacher?
fan until he first retired.
Not Schumacher.
Fan, but I was an Alonso fan
Okay,
at
fair
that
enough.
time.
Same era. Tell us about your pit stop experiences. What happens?
I mean, the job for the drivers kind of easy, not too easy. You have to just come and stop on your marks, and the mechanics do their
What do you do?
rest.
You have a drink?
No, there's not time. There's like 4-5. In F2, there's 4-5 seconds. In Formula One,
It's 4-5 seconds. They do the little tinkling.
they do the whole tire changes and everything. In Formula One, they do it in 1.8 seconds. So that's.
I want these guys for my car. My local petrol pump, they get about 15 minutes to get one tire off. Yeah.
Yeah, so this is in Formula One. It's pretty much you stop, they change the tires, and within 2 seconds, and you go. So there's no time to.
So you don't do anything. You're just waiting for a.
You're waiting for the green light, and you
Boom.
go. You just go. You trust the mechanic who presses green, and you go. You don't even look in your mirror, nothing. You just.
Did you at least scratch yourself those few seconds?
You can do that while driving also if you want.
Saying if you're not wearing underwear, there must be some, things that can come out of that. Bro, I would love to place a camera inside the car while you're driving to see what the truth is about all the habits, etc. Yeah. Rim dum dim. These people write in, I can't, I'm not their parents. I didn't name them. Jehan, have you ever walked up to Adrian Newey and asked, kitna deti hai? Which would also be sexual.
No, I have never.
Oh. I mean, you want to answer it? Really? Everybody's a smart aleck, when they send in things. I apologize, jokers. Oh, I need that. Sorry. Harvespa, Parsi boy from Ahmedabad says, hello Jehan, do you think your good friends Lando Norris will win this year's Drivers' Championship? Your good friend you just mentioned.
Yeah, I think there's a small chance. There's an outside chance he can. He's quite a few points behind Max, but the McLaren is now one of the fastest cars. So
you're always pro machine winning than man winning, is it?
No, you have to be both. I mean, the level that the guys are in Formula One, if you don't have the best car, someone else who has a better car than you will beat you. It's pretty much.
Well, that's a good excuse in sport, not to say that you can blame the tech every time you lose.
I mean, it's a fact, and everyone knows it. I don't think anyone can win a world championship.
You guys shout at the engineers or whatever? How does it work? After a race, I'm thinking, tempers are flaring, blood is boiling, a close race.
I think there's always, it's good to have like back and forth conversations. They can be sometimes, aggressive and hard, but it works both ways. So, if you have something to say to them, you say it to them and they say it back. So, I mean, if you hear radios of Formula One drivers, there's a lot of
What's the
adrenaline.
language like? You abuse?
Sometimes. I mean, I don't turn the radio button on, but I abuse myself sometimes more than.
What would you say? Give us an example. Come on, please. Firstly, international crew also. You can't say MCBC. It'll have to be a little bit.
I mean, I would just, kind of shout at myself if I make a mistake or something.
So a few F words will come out.
Yeah.
But you're not shouting at them directly.
No.
But indirectly also.
Yeah.
Because the team is sort of whatever has happened has happened.
I mean, it's more to myself. If I have to say something to the team, then I open the radio. But I try to control myself.
Alrighty. Nathan says, give some insights on Colapinto. Colapinto, man's taken to F1 with such, he's taken to F1 with such finesse. Also, paddle player is your alternate career. So they've all researched you.
Yeah, so Colapinto is like an example I just gave. He's in Formula 2 this year. He just jumped into Formula 1.
Right.
I actually know him. And he's taken to Formula 1 very easily. He's been as fast as Albon. He's already scored points. And he's not any better than he was 2 weeks ago. And he was in F2 2 weeks ago. So it just shows the level
Why don't you just allow them all to compete?
I mean, that's the nature of the sport. You cannot have it. You need to.
But if the level is the same, I don't understand why we can't. Because you just mentioned in tennis, say the top 10, 20, maybe a little away from the rest of the field. But in racing, if you're saying from 4 to 1, there's not that much difference. Why can't we all compete together? Let's use the real best then.
It's just not the nature of the sport. In the last 3 years, I think even the champions of Formula 2 have not gone to Formula 1. So they see peers who they have beat move up to Formula 1 and they don't get the chance themselves. So. And they see the people who they've beat then doing very well in Formula 1. So it's kind of just, like I said, you have to have the right opportunity. You have to be there at the right place at the right time. And Colapinto has taken his chance super well. He's done very well in the last 2 races.
But let's get back to you, Jehan. So when you said that, maybe I'm across that age thing and all that, but there's still a chance you'll be in F1. If a vacancy happens at the right time.
I mean, you can never say no. Hopefully there's a Indian team that comes up in the next couple of years, and I'll still be young enough to easily jump in and do well.
Yeah, I have this friend in Altamont Road with a big bungalow. Let me talk to him.
Yeah.
I don't know if he'll take the call, but okay. What's your life outside racing? What are your hobbies now? You didn't mention about the paddle player career thing, which they've noticed that you're into. Paddle, what's it called? Paddle
Paddle
sport?
tennis.
Paddle
yeah.
tennis, huh?
So I've been playing paddle at the circuit as well for the last couple of years. I played my first tournament last weekend in Bombay, and I came second. So it was good. I've been playing quite a bit. I actually have a game today after this podcast.
Wow. All the best, yaar. You need an engineer for paddle playing?
No, I'm heavily into all sports. So
So when you were younger, what did you play? I mean, other than obviously,
I played
you played cricket and football like everybody
cricket, table tennis, football, a little bit of tennis, not
else? You're
much.
the other boy, the other Parsi colony boy. I'm sure you played everything there.
But football, I stopped 5 years back because I destroyed my knee playing football, and my racing career was more important.
Yeah, fair enough. You can always take up football later in your 40s, like all the people in my lane. Huh. Do you have a favorite destination, race destination, or travel story that stands out?
Race destination.
So
Yeah.
that's the two parts to that. It could be because of the place, or it could be because that's the place where you'll win.
So historically, I would say my favorite place to race has been Spa in Belgium. Best track for me in the world. It's also the longest track on the calendar. It has some really cool corners. In terms of most memorable track for me, it's Bahrain. I've always had a lot of success there. I think it's because of the heat. For coming from India, I'm used to the heat, driving in the heat. All my European colleagues are all sweating
Heat
while
and
I'm still
humidity is
fine.
where you're going to be king.
Yeah. So normally in like Saudi Arabia and in
These things make a
Bahrain,
difference?
for sure. You can see it. For you, you're used to it. My old teammate, he was from Norway, so he's used to
dying.
living in minus
Yeah.
15, minus 20.
He
So
must
for
have
him,
turned red or something by the end.
yeah, so anything over 20 is too hot for him.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
when you come to like 35, 36 degrees with humidity, then they don't like it at all.
All right. And for last question is superstitions. Athletes are supposed to be superstitions. What do you follow before you get into the car?
Yeah, fortunately, unfortunately, I'm not superstitious.
Not at all?
I've stayed away
No,
from it.
left leg first, right leg second, all that nonsense.
I mean, I kind of now habitually get in the car from the left side because of when I injured my knee, I couldn't get in from the other
You
side.
put pressure on one leg. Okay.
So that just became a habit. I'm not superstitious. I know my mom is superstitious. So yeah, she sometimes tell me to wear this and wear that and do this
do
and
you?
do that. Yeah.
Have you ever driven naked? What a feeling that is, yeah.
I mean,
Marine Drive, peak traffic, naked.
we're not allowed to wear any underwears in
What?
racing. Yeah, you can only wear the fireproof material because the underwears are not fireproof. So you have to.
So there's no inner stuff.
There's no like boxers kind of stuff.
So little Jehan is not got any protection.
Not really. No.
You've got protection from
You got
the fire,
protection from the-
but you've not got protection like a jock strap. Like
No, you don't.
nobody complains.
No.
You're not allowed to have a co-driver holding your hand.
No.
Too much? Okay, fair enough. Okay, as we end, some interesting questions that I thought of. Can you make the sounds of these different engines? Ferrari.
Can I make?
Yeah.
No, I'm
Oh,
terrible.
come on. Bro, many people watching him never come close to. Look at the life you have, Baba. You have these fancy
I'm
cars every
terrible
day.
at doing sound imitation.
All they have is this audio from you. The Ferrari ka sound. McLaren.
They all sound the same, man. in
No,
Formula One.
man. Come on. I know they don't sound the same. You're just saying that to get me off your back.
No, I'm not good at doing them.
Maserati?
I would
No,
embarrass
no.
myself if I tried.
No? Not even going to make one sound? Damn it. Anyway, Jehan, listen, we're very proud of you. I hope things go. I mean, you're doing really well. You don't need my support. But my personal feeling is at some point you'll land up in the F1. No matter what you say about age and things like that.
Thank you.
Right now, he's got to go for a paddle sport tournament in Ghatkopar, where his team, the Rocking Rhinos, take on the Poor Penguins or something and in the finals. So, all the best for you. And you're off season right now?
Yeah.
Right now?
Yeah.
So, what do you do in this little time?
I
Other than paddle?
just play sports, keep myself fit. Go
So, there's
to
nothing you have to do to keep yourself going for the racing.
zero almost. I mean, you can drive
You detox.
detox, drive the simulator. I mean, it's such a stressful environment when you're there. It's nice to not
And the
think
season
about
will
it.
pick up when now?
It starts in December, but like October, November, there'll be some testing already starting.
And the testing is in here at home, or you'll start traveling?
Traveling. Yeah.
Oh, what a life. London, Monaco, Belgium, Bahrain. What a life. It's hard. It's not easy. Thanks so much, Jehan, for being on the show.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hope to get you again as he reaches the pinnacle of sporting glory.
I had an accident in Fiji.
Oh,
Yeah, I had a car accident, very bad accident.
skidded on the road.
It just lost control. It just went off the road, and I was on a bridge, and the car toppled.
You went off the bridge.
We went off the
Like
bridge.
turtle?
So me and there were two other people in the car. There was that moment between going off the bridge and falling, where I thought, okay, I'm gone. All of us, saying, to each other, fuck. And
You remember the moment where, as it...
Yeah, and you realize that, when you're about to die also, you're saying fuck.
I mean,
Yeah,
what could you say?
What would you say?
Yeah.
So fuck is actually such an important word.
Yeah, as Bhagwan Rajneesh explained to us, it doesn't mean only, the sexual point of it.
Yeah, it means कि fuck, we are dying. On the 13th episode, some other chef was supposed to come that, I don't know, they caught wind of the fact that the show was going to shut down. He had said this is the last episode. इसके बाद हम extension नहीं देंगे. It was the last episode to be shot. And nobody was there. I called Sanjeev.
What happened to the girl? You said
She was
last
there.
episode.
So I said, Sanjeev, you shoot with the girl.
Huh.
You come as a guest chef.
Right.
So I called Sanjeev over as a guest chef, and Sanjeev came. He was like unprepared. He came on his bike. He had a Rajdoot.
Yeah.
So he came on his Rajdoot, landed up there, and said, in a Hero Honda.